Show difference at stlmedweightloss.com.
Morning and welcome. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm particularly excited today because my third son, Joe Davis, in the house as our producer, engineer. Joe, it's great to be with you. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Always happy to be here.
Let me ask you right off the bat, has Jill been kind of tough on you today, as you've told me in the past?
She's been pretty light on me today, actually.
Okay, no yelling yet?
No, yeah. She might be a changed person today.
Yeah.
It's because of the Dolly Parton influence. I'm not nearly as terrible as I have been historically.
True or false, Joe, at least one time during your career at KTRS, you did go to HR complaining about her treatment of you?
I thought that was a secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably should have looked that out.
The reason that we can fact check that is there is no HR at KTRS.
We don't have an HR?
No.
HR is like the most used word at Channel 5. Anytime anybody says something that just digs at somebody, I'm calling HR. I'm calling HR. I don't know if anybody ever's called HR, but one time there was a girl, I won't mention her name, at Channel 5, who applied for a job in Show Me St. Louis, and a person in power said, no, we're looking for somebody younger. And that person went to HR and then received an incredible, settlement out of the whole thing. I wish somebody would say that to me. Wouldn't we all like to be just given a big fat check and just, okay, my feelings are okay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a great story. So for those who are listening today that don't know about your history, you guys were radio partners, producer, host partners in talent on a former radio station that is no longer with us. May it rest in peace. For how long?
About 5 years?
Probably, yeah. 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And Joe is he's part of the family. My wife says, Joe, yesterday I forgot my briefcase, and Monique dropped it off at Westport, and Joe went and met her, and Monique says, I just love him so much. She says, I couldn't get out of the car, but he came around to hug me. I mean, he is our son, so we're excited.
Yeah,
I've never seen him in a bad mood. He's spectacular at what he does. He's a joy, and I'm so glad we got him here at KTRS.
Yeah, you guys are a good partnership because, Joe, you're about as even-keeled, calm, capable, just like in the moment.
She's dividing.
As anybody I've met, and with Frank and his workaholism, if you would have let me finish the sentence,
okay.
And the fact that he's always got a million balls in the air trying to nail down interviews for multiple different things at multiple different times. You had complementary skill sets.
I agree, yes.
Yeah, and how about in the mornings? Not that anybody wants to hear this, but I do the monologue at home now. But with Joe, I would get there an hour early because I wanted to spend quality time with him, and he and I would be in a room alone, and we'd be just writing together, gathering sound. Joe, get this, because what do you think about this? And I got this stat. I mean, it was just we
It was
really
fun.
worked some magic.
It really
together.
was.
And what did that do for the station? They're now out of business. So we couldn't have been that good.
Compare and contrast that to now when we technically share an office here and Frank does everything he can to never step foot in the same physical space with me before we go on the air.
She's got, all these paintings and mood music and
Candles lit.
yeah, it's
Setting the mood.
It's like a seance in there.
It is not
all of her
either.
life coaching, and she wants everybody to feel good when they walk in. And so. All right, so we got a really good program today. Sarah Fenske, the executive editor of St. Louis Magazine, is going to be with us at 10:35. Heather Sullivan, what's her hottest story from KMOV?
Oh gosh, she's really dug in and did a great story on this whole idea that some of our area retailers may be delivering stuff for real via drone. She also is taking a look at some of the latest data in St. Louis. Why are so many people defaulting on their loans? She's got some interesting insights there as well. So always fun. She came to town and hit the ground running, and you're always going to walk away learning something when she's doing her consumer reports.
And then we'll have Greg Willard, and his hottest topic, I believe, is the Supreme Court mail-in ballots.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on, though, too. Some stuff locally. He's got some insight that I hadn't thought about before into these flock cameras and some other stuff that's been happening recently as well. So, as always, you're going to learn something, and you're going to be glad you did when Greg is in the house.
All right, let's take a short time out. When we come back, the opening dialogue on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1.
These medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain.
Talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at STLMedWeightLoss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. We make this work for you and really start feeling like the old you.
None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Since 1974, Permajack of St. Louis has been helping residential and commercial owners protect their biggest investment. From successfully solving foundation structural problems to making sure basements remain dry, Permajack has performed tens of thousands of projects on both sides of the river, utilizing state-of-the-art technology, techniques, and equipment. Permajack of St. Louis has done it with honesty and integrity, never recommending anything outside of what you really need. For many repairs, Permajack provides a transferable life of structure warranty, all while Permajack of St. Louis has earned a BBB A+ rating and accreditation. For foundation settlement, bowed or buckling walls, cracks in your foundation, walls or bricks, or basement waterproofing, choose the hometown family-owned team at Permajack of St. Louis. Schedule your free inspection and estimate at permajackofstlewis.com. That's permajackofstlewis.com. Permajack, solid as rock.
Royal Banks of Missouri is bringing community banking to your community. That's right, 2 new branches are coming soon to South St. Louis County and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Enjoy convenient, personalized service for all your personal or business banking needs from a local partner you can trust. Visit royalbanksofmo.com for more details about our upcoming new locations. Royal Banks of Missouri, your new neighbor, invested in your success. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
My college roommate said to me recently, everyone needs a good electrician on speed dial. And you know what? He's right. Ever since Michael Baldy has started advertising on the show, you know what? He's been out to the house 4, 5, 6 different times to fix all sorts of things. Good thing I got Michael Baldy on speed dial, because those things are a hazard. And it's one thing, you know how much I like to pretend to think that I'm a home improvement guy. I'll mess with plumbing and I'll mess with woodworking, but there's something I won't mess with, and that's electricity. It's too dangerous. It's too confusing, quite frankly. I know how to plug in a light bulb, but after that, it's baldyelectric.com. So for all of your electrical needs, residential, commercial, indoor, outdoor, TVs, computers, technology, baldyelectric.com. It's the place to go. You need a good electrician on speed dial. That's Michael Baldy, or baldyelectric.com. As we enter into the summer months, you might be thinking windows and doors. Yeah, and where are you going to go? You have lots of options when it comes to windows and doors. Let me tell you about a St. Louis company that everybody should know about. It's called WSWindow.net. It's run by Larry Thornton and his son, Joe. And they've been selling windows and doors in St. Louis for 38 years. They do most of their work with a handshake and a smile. There is no high-pressure sales. There is no jacking up the prices and then try and bring you down as they demand some type of signature on the dotted line. They'll shake your hand and say, we hope to hear from you. And they have been successful. They've beat the big boys at their games for all these many years because they do it right. They have long-time installers, long-time employees. The Window Store. If you need windows, if you need doors, you want a great price, and you want to keep it in the St. Louis family. That's Larry and Joe Thornton. The Window Store. WSWindow.net. WSWindow.net.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS.
Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, thought one. So you're going to hear a lot about Dolly Parton over the next few days. I think the single coolest accomplishment is her imagination library. I know a lot about it because my daughter signed up for it after she had her baby girl, Kennedy. Background, Dolly's father could never read or write. He had to leave school early to help support his family. So in 1995, she wanted to help kids all over the world develop a love of reading, something her father could never do. Her mission was to inspire kids to read. She never had children, but loved helping children. So this is how it works. If you have a child, you sign up for this program, and once a month, you receive a new kid's book in the mail. It spans 5 countries. There are over 3 million kids benefiting from this. And the total books gifted, and I double-checked it last night, as we speak, 332,411,218 books that have been gifted by Dolly Parton. You know, there are a bunch of different effects that reading has on your kids, and all of them are positive. All of them. This is another great thing about Dolly Parton.
What a great point you make. And I am genuinely sad today about the death of Dolly Parton. I just can't hide it. I know. I never met her. I have no claim to her. But somehow she made me want to be a better person. And I've been trying to figure out why, pondering this for the past 24 hours or so. Part of it, I think, was her unabashed individualism. The hair, the rhinestones, the clothes. She joked about the whole facade for decades, but underneath it was something I really admired. She was saying, this is how I want to show up in the world, and I'm not asking for your approval. And then there was this remarkable ability to be an ambassador of goodness and light. People from across the political spectrum loved her. People of different ages, incomes, backgrounds, beliefs. And in an increasingly polarized country, somehow Dolly could walk into the room and everybody was just happy she was there. She didn't hide her light under a bushel. She used it to entertain, certainly to give, more about that later, to children, to communities, to people who needed help. She stayed so vibrant, so curious, so fully engaged with life. Maybe that's why I'm mourning today. We didn't just lose an extraordinary entertainer. We lost one of those rare people who seem to remind us that you can be completely yourself and still make the world around you a little kinder. It really is hard for me to imagine America without Dolly Parton. I mean that.
Yeah. Well said. That's beautiful. In fact, Joe said he's going to play nothing but Dolly Parton music throughout this program. All right, thought two. I think this is going to generate our biggest response today on the text line. And our text line is the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, 84126. So we all in life want to get the most bang for our buck, like maybe the dollar menu at McDonald's if you're not real hungry, or the rotisserie chicken at Costco, or the shoes at Nordstrom's Rack, or cleaning supplies at a Dollar Tree store. But the question for all of you on this Wednesday morning, what can't you cut back on, or the items that are well worth spending money on? Now, everybody has different lists. Let me give you some of mine. Good athletic clothing, really good steak knives, quality towels, eating out. How about this one? Good shoes and good mattress, because if you're not on your feet, you're laying in your bed. TSA PreCheck, a really good hotel, quality toilet paper, items that are well worth spending money on. Let the text roll. You're not cutting back. Yeah, I'm buying quality. I don't care how much it costs. Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Do either of you two have one that just jumps out at you right now, Joe or Jill?
Food for me. I have no problem spending money on quality food. And then probably shoes.
Quality food that you're buying.
Obviously with shoes.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
Joe has the greatest tennis shoe collection of all time.
Is that food that you're like, you go to a certain grocery store with a high level of quality food, or restaurants, or
restaurant?
both?
Yeah, I have no problem spending money at a restaurant if it's going to be high quality food and I enjoy it. Absolutely.
Great. I thought your list was perfect. Several of the items that you listed, I was like, yep, that's true for me as well. Probably one for also, I do spend a little bit of money on things like shampoo and conditioner these days, because when I go to a hotel or use whatever they have, I don't like that. But all your other items were right spot on. Sheets would be another one that I would add to that. Life's too
Pillows.
short for uncomfortable or bad. Yeah, we brought a bunch of pillows from the lake house that had been there for a very long time, and I recently pulled one of those out and put it back in the mix, and it needed to go to the garbage right away.
Let me throw one more, and I've just told this Monique twice in the last 5 days. Coffee. I told her, I said, I don't care how much it costs. Buy the best coffee maker you possibly can. And I don't even love coffee that much, and we have a mediocre coffee machine. That's what I'm going to do next.
Wow, really good good recommendations already coming in. Quality laundry detergent, gasoline, LOL. Yeah, I think that's a good one to pay a little bit for. I also was really interested as I was doing some deep diving, as many of you were, into the articles and stories and listening to information about Dolly Parton, into the business brilliance of her. And here's some numbers that I think are just pretty staggering. She transformed a childhood of rural poverty into a global business empire, accumulating an estimated net worth of $650 million. So a lot of that started out, of course, with songwriting savvy. Early in her career, I didn't know this until today, she refused to give up half of the publishing rights of I Will Always Love You to Elvis Presley. That single choice allowed her to fully capitalize on Whitney Houston's 1992 mega hit. That generated, depending on what your source is, somewhere between 10 and 20 million in royalties. Her catalog of 3,000 songs continue to earn between $6 and $8 million annually for her.
Wow.
She has a 50% stake in the Dollywood Company. It features her signature theme park, water parks, luxury resorts. That's her largest asset. It generates a massive $1.8 billion in annual impact for East Tennessee. In terms of how much, we don't know the exact dollar that threw off to her, but it provided a lot of employment for the part of the country and family members that she cared about a lot. She had a baking line with Duncan Hines, pet apparel, the Doggy Parton line, cosmetics, Dolly Beauty, and a 12-story hotel in downtown Nashville. You mentioned in addition to the philanthropy you mentioned, it's estimated that she gave away and helped raise over $600 million through her lifetime, including the Imagination Library, including the $1 million she gave for the development of the COVID-19 vaccine. She regularly employed extended family, paid for college scholarships, and funded a $1 million pediatric cancer program at Vanderbilt after her niece was treated for leukemia.
So where will all this money go, the $650 million? I guess she has nieces.
She has, a ton. I mean, I think she was one of 12 kids, if I'm remembering that right. So she's got some pretty large, and I don't know. I mean, we'll find out later. Maybe a lot of it's going to charity.
Okay. Thought 3. Last night at midnight, I happened to turn on a Gary Sinise interview with People Magazine. I don't know if you've seen these things. I think they're on Netflix. And the People Magazine interview does not have the interviewer's voice at all. It's just the interviewee telling the story. It's kind of an interesting way to do television. So he tells the story of his wife and son dealing with cancer at the same time. She got through her breast cancer, or is battling it as we speak. Mac, his son, wasn't as fortunate. He had a tumor on his back, which eventually paralyzed him. Gary told his agents, "No more movies for me. I need to be with my family." The tumors were all over Mac's body. He could barely move, but he could play the harmonica. He wrote pieces of music in college. And because Gary has a band, they recorded those pieces with an orchestra. The one piece was called Arctic Circle. So they kept the song from Gary until they actually perfected it. And keep in mind, Mac did this with tumors all over his body, even on his face. It was like almost scary to look at. And they moved from California to Nashville. On Mac's 33rd birthday, they finished the recording. They completed the record in December, and Mac was really struggling, but they got through it while he was dying. 2 days later, he went to the hospital, and he died 6 days later. When he died, Gary went through all of his files, Mac's files, and his laptop with all of the music he had written. Gary was on a mission, and they made all of that music into albums, which are now selling well. Gary says he was blessed, and Mac felt blessed and never cursed, even when he had to endure all this terrible suffering. They kept counting those blessings every day. They didn't get the big miracle of a cure for Mac, but they got the blessing of being together and seeing Mac have so much success in the music world. And if you don't love Gary Sinise, there's something wrong with you. You will love him more. I encourage you to watch it. It's just an amazing story of dedication and passion and love.
I had no idea. I'm so glad you shared that, although I may end up doing the entire show with a lump in my throat today. There's just a lot of poignancy. Oh my gosh. Thank you. That was really cool. If I could talk to my younger self, I'd say never, ever, ever take sleep for granted. I slept beautifully my entire life. Put my head on my pillow, closed my eyes. 8 hours later, good morning. I had no idea until the last year that this was kind of a superpower. Now, sleep is more of a group project. Apparently, my bladder, my hormones, and my brain all have notes. And then there's my Aura Ring, which has become my frenemy. It keeps me honest, but it also delivers black and white proof every morning of what I already know. You are awake again. Would you like to see a graph? Today's mildly irritating news from Newsweek. A large study found that the sweet spot for slower biological aging is about 6.5 to just under 8 hours a night. Both too little sleep and too much are linked to faster aging. So now poor sleep just doesn't make me tired. It's going to make me older faster as well. Thanks, Aura. Very helpful for telling me that.
But you also think that some people, we're all different in every way, that some people just don't require as much sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that for years, but then this, if you're reading this article, it says that there isn't as much variation as people claim. It's more of a behavioral pattern. People get used to less sleep and don't think they need it, but biologically they probably do. Is that bad news for you?
Yeah, I mean, I do not need a whole lot of sleep, but I enjoy it, but I just don't need it as much.
But you don't need it biologically, or you don't need it psychologically and behaviorally?
I think it's more biologically. Yeah.
You feel just as good if you've had 5 hours of sleep as if you've had 7?
Yeah. Of course, I'm also a guy who, in the middle of the day, will pull over and take a 10-minute nap in my car.
Yeah. And how's that Amazon energy drink you're drinking right now doing for you?
Yeah. I am drinking it's called Samazon, Amazon Energy. Samazon. It's not bad. Have you ever tasted an energy drink that you like, though? Wow, this tastes good.
I can't drink them. They make me too jittery. Although now, thanks to my sleep woes, I've been craving them more than I probably ever had before.
All right, let's take a short time out. When we come back, Sarah Fenske is going to join us, but a little business first.
Altair Travel and Cruises, having a really fun conversation with some friends who we have historically loved to travel with. And we were kind of throwing out all kinds of ideas. We should go here. We should go there. Wouldn't it be cool if? I wonder what the best time of year is. I wonder what the best deal is out there in terms of travel companies, or should we consider a cruise, or what part of the world is the easiest and not overcrowded right now with other tourists. It's great because I just knew automatically. I didn't have to try to research any of the answers to those questions myself. All I have to do is pick up the phone, call my friends at Altair Travel and Cruises, because that's the kind of stuff they know off the top of their head. And by the way, if they don't know it off the top of their head, they have a vast, vast resource of the most informed people in the travel industry in the world to be able to get the answer to them very, very quickly. So there's no guessing. There's no hoping AI gives you the information you wish it would give you, or maybe just feeding you information, which, by the way, isn't always factually correct. At Altair Travel and Cruises, it's the lived experience of decades and decades of being the best in the travel business and making so many St. Louisans, St. Louis families happy and grateful for the precious memories and precious travel that they've helped create. AltairTravel.com, 318-964-9600.
Is a newly expanded 30,000 square foot state-of-the-art chess center featuring world-class tournament playing halls, classrooms, library, and casual play spaces for everyone who loves the game.
But it's so much more than a place to play.
It's where champions are built on the board, in the classroom, and across the community, with a mission to bring the game to everyone from all levels, with membership starting at just $15 a month.
Discover the excitement, the challenge, and the community of chess at stlouischessclub.org.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Lionel Richie, live in concert. Playing at the Muni, Saturday, August 29th. Get tickets now at metrotix.com.
Okay, you've decided you want to get away. You want to travel. You want to see the world. Let Altair Travel and Cruises handle all the details. You handle all the fun. You don't know where to stay. You don't have to worry about transfers. What about your luggage? What about a tour guide? You don't want a tour guide. Lewis and Clark had a tour guide. You're in a different country. You want to go see the Sistine Chapel. You're going to need a tour guide. Let Altair Travel handle all those details. You handle all the fun. 314-968-9600. Altair Travel or altairtravel.com.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event.
Don't miss the Enjoy Illinois 300 on September 12th and 13th. For full schedule and ticket info, go online to www.traceway.com.
The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.traceway.com.
That's www.traceway.com.
It's Miller Furniture's Labor Day clearance event going on now through September 8th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Right now, you'll save up to 75% off our list price on all in-stock furniture and up to 50% off Flex Steel, Smith Brothers, and Amish-made custom orders.
We have more Flex Steel in stock and on sale than ever before, including the popular Dana sofa, just $14.99, and their new immersive sound reclining furniture. Plus, shop our new Belleville Clearance Center for premium quality closeouts.
Chatham & Wells luxury mattresses, locally made, now half price when you buy an adjustable base. Plus, save up to $900 on world-famous mattress brands like Tempur-Pedic and Stearns & Foster.
Don't miss our Labor Day clearance event going on in Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms now through September 8th.
At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
If you're from St. Louis, you likely have a Maggie O'Brien story. Maggie O'Brien's has become an iconic local hotspot for St. Louis sports, holiday parties, corporate and private events in downtown St. Louis for food and fun with distinctive Irish flair. Do check out their location in Sunset Hills, Maggie O's.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Oh, good choice. I haven't heard that one for a while, Joe Davis. Frank and Jill Show, Wednesday morning. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Joe Davis sitting in for Connor, who is on a much-deserved vacation on his first trip to Europe. So we'll have a good time hearing how his travels were in Great Britain. Sarah Fenske, lots to talk about with you this morning, including some breaking news. St. Louis Magazine breaking some big news this morning about a GeoSTL announcement. Some of that stuff feels like it goes over my head, but it's really good news for our sort of science/business community in St. Louis, right?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate reading. I will admit also when I was learning about this yesterday, I was like, oh, my head hurts. Like, what are they doing here? Like, it's, they're working on such a high level that it's hard even to explain what they're working on. But basically, I think what has happened here is there's going to be a new AI innovation center that is going to be headquartered in St. Louis. And this is something that GeoSTL, which is one of our geospatial nonprofits, is helping bring to fruition. But it's not just local guys. What makes this seem like could really have an impact is you've got Amazon Web Services, Google, Worldwide Technology, like companies whose names I can't even pronounce, but I know from reading the Wall Street Journal are a huge deal. They are all coming together on this and putting resources into it. And the idea is that people who are working with AI, who see a way that it can solve problems, they could bring it to this center and they could get help with the computing power they need. They could get help sort of like doing test cases, seeing how they could scale it up, and sort of drawing on the best and the brightest to advance their ideas. So it could be a real boon to all these startups that I keep hearing from that are trying to do big things with AI that are working right here in St. Louis.
Okay, so there's a new boat in town. The Becky Thatcher has arrived at our new dock in downtown St. Louis. Now, I think for some of our younger audience, what is the Becky Thatcher? What kind of connection? It's got a long history in St. Louis. Tell me about the boat itself. Will it have like a gambling or music or like restaurants? Tell me about it.
No gambling.
Okay.
That's the one thing it won't have. But I don't know if anybody has taken a riverboat trip that sort of departs from there by the arch. I do this sometimes when I have out-of-towners come in. And it turns out for the last 2 years, I guess 2.5 years, we've only had the Tom Sawyer. There's only been one antique-looking riverboat doing those tours. Well, now there's a second boat coming to the fleet. And so we used to have 2. We're back to having 2. We've historically had boats named Becky Thatcher to go way deep. If you grew up reading The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Becky was Tom's girlfriend. So it makes sense. We now have Becky and Tom. This is the 4th iteration of Becky. She is 33% bigger, and she's apparently, a lot newer and is going to look nicer. And so you can do these like skyline dinner cruises on her, and then also do the sightseeing tour up and down the Mississippi. It's all run by Bi-State. It's pretty reasonably priced, kind of just a fun thing to do.
What is reasonably priced? Because I know you're a high end and the rest of us are just kind of in the trenches. What is roughly reasonably priced?
Oh, boy, I should have known you were going to ask me a question that I did not know the answer to. I did this a couple years ago when I had some friends in from Pittsburgh, and I think it was maybe like $20 a person. Like, it's certainly not as cheap as MetroLink, but the daytime ones are not terrible.
And there is dinner, correct?
Well, when you do the dinner ones, that's more expensive.
Yeah, obviously, but that's cool.
When you're going during the day, you can like buy a hot dog at like the concession stand. It's just kind of like this fun, low-key thing in the daytime ones.
Yeah, It's fun. We did one for kind of an educational thing where they had a lecture recently, and it's pretty magical to watch the sunset when you're out on the river itself and that view of the arch. It's good stuff. Okay, so I'm sticking with the theme here today, but also impressed with something else St. Louis Magazine was reporting on this morning. Sarah Fenske, Eric Schmidt, writing that another one of our sort of innovative companies in St. Louis may be coming up with a blood test for Alzheimer's. That seems huge.
Yeah, so this is this company C2N Diagnostics, and the Food and Drug Administration has cleared its blood test. It helps diagnose Alzheimer's disease. Now, I want to be very clear, this is not something where I can just administer this test at home and I'm going, does this mean that I'm going to get Alzheimer's someday? No, it's more like, I think once it's already manifesting, you can use this in tandem with a doctor looking at you and talking to you about your symptoms, but that it apparently does help catch it much earlier. So, we all have older people in our lives who we feel like, are they forgetful or is there something else going on here? I think for people who are at that stage, in consultation with a medical provider, this test is going to be really helpful because it's going to help you understand better, like what's the course of what they're going through.
So, like when you do what is like the advantage of finding out earlier that besides the immediate depression for your family?
Sure. It is such a horrible disease, and I keep waiting for somebody to say, we've got this cure for Alzheimer's. Like, that's what would make me really happy. But I think, each type of dementia is different in its own way. And so I think if it's Alzheimer's versus understanding that it's something else, or to say, oh, no, this isn't Alzheimer's. Like, you're just somebody who's struggling with the senior moments that, frankly, all of us struggle with. I'm sure it's a relief for the people to find out they don't have it. And once you know that, you do have it, that, there's specific things they can do to try to slow its progression, things like that. So I think that's the hope there. And eventually, who knows, as fast as medicine is innovating, it could be that there could end up being a cure down the road. And then, you would know that you could be eligible for it. Let's look at the bright side of this, Frank.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, and also another bright side to me is that St. Louis is on the cutting edge. I mean, I remember back when we were first reading articles about this crazy idea that WashU and leaders in the business community had for this Cortex, which was going to be an incubator for all these companies that were going to be trying to innovate, breakthrough scientific breakthroughs. And then here we are talking about stuff that really could change the face of how early Alzheimer's and how inobtrusively Alzheimer's could be diagnosed. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think there's so much happening right now with biotech and with ag tech in St. Louis. The WashU School of Medicine is just amazing. I mean, they're like leading the nation in so many ways that this is not just local boosterism talking. Like, what is happening there is phenomenal. And I think you're seeing all these sort of biotech offshoots of the people who are being trained there and who are working there. And you're also seeing it in ag tech with the Danforth Center. So St. Louis has a lot going on that front. And it's easy to lose track of that when we're just sort of like paying attention to the day-to-day of government. There's so much happening in private industry that is life-changing in a good way.
I have a business question for you.
Boy. If I knew anything about business, would I be in journalism? Like, come on, Frank.
Good point. Exactly. We're all bad at math, aren't we? That's why we have Joe, our producer here, who is very good at math. All right, so I'm holding one of your magazines in front of me, and I'm wondering...
the one that he's featured in, by the way.
No. I'm wondering, though, that how does, in terms of people consuming your product, your content, how does it compare from magazines now to your online edition and the daily newsletter?
Yeah, I mean, far more people are engaging with our content online, and whether that's on our website or whether that's people who don't even click into our website, they're just getting our daily newspaper, our daily newsletter. I can't tell you how many people I'll hear from where they're like, you didn't include this very relevant thing. And I say, oh, did you click into the longer web story? No, I just read the newsletter summary. I'm like,
okay.
Yes, that is why we didn't get to that detail. So I think, we have many, many more people who are engaging with the digital product. That said, I think the people who are engaging with the print product, they're probably spending more time with it. It's maybe sitting on their coffee table and they're looking it over as the days go by. Whereas I think people who are reading my newsletter, there's a lot of people who read it between 6 and 8 a.m. and they're not necessarily reopening it and marveling at my prose later in the day, much as I wish they were.
But I will say this, I think you guys have been really ahead of the pack in terms of user friendliness. I'm a St. Louis Magazine subscriber. I love getting it still in my mailbox. I will keep doing that for a long time. And I signed up for, I think, almost every newsletter that you guys have available, which is a lot of them, but they're all fun. And there's everything from outdoor life to cooking to the daily newsletter, with which you guys are doing some of the best reporting in town. But I really appreciate the fact on your digital product compared to the Post-Dispatch specifically, I can click on the article and get to it immediately and get the information.
Yes.
When I'm a subscriber to the Post-Dispatch, I still get the old-fashioned paper. I'm digitally, but I'll click into one of their articles on the email, highlight newsletter that I get, and I have to re-sign in every darn time, and then it doesn't remember, and it's so much clunkier. I really think you have gotten the fact that people are going to get the information digitally, and you've really done a good job of streamlining the process.
Well, I really appreciate that. And that's something that our owner, Matt Cohen, has really prioritized. He has a background in tech. He wants this website to be clean and not have a bunch of pop-up ads coming at you. And yeah, I have the same thing with the Post-Dispatch where it logs me out every time I try to read on my phone. I'm like, I'm paying for this, y'all. So I'm glad to hear that user experience has been good. And I think I constantly hear from friends who are so frustrated trying to get local news because they say, oh, the paywalls and the pop-ups. And I'm like, hey, St. Louis Magazine, we don't have paywalls and we don't have pop-ups.
Yeah,
Like,
that really is
We're
big.
your alternative.
Okay, one of our questions for today is, look, we all like to get good buys in life, the rotisserie chicken at Costco, the shoes at Nordstrom's Rack. But the question for you today and all of our audience is, what can't you cut back on, or the items that are well worth spending money on? We've had everything from steak knives to sheets to pillows to good athletic clothing. What is one thing where Sarah Fenske says, you know what, I'm going to pay it because I just have to have this quality stuff?
You know, it's funny. We were just talking about media consumption. I still get my print New York Times and I still get my print Wall Street Journal. And I could
Good for
save
you.
so much money if I just got rid of, having this person fling this on my doorstep every day. But I think, I spend so much time sitting in front of a computer, sitting in front of a phone. Screens to me feel like work. And to have that print product in my hands, maybe how Jill feels about the print magazine, it feels like a little luxury. And even though I don't always have the time to read as much of it as I'd like, on a Sunday morning when my kids are still asleep, to sit outside on my patio, drink my Diet Coke, and just browse through this newspaper, that's kind of the luxury that I just can't quit, as much as they keep raising the subscription price on me.
Yeah, but that's really good. There's something about holding the paper physically in your hands. I don't get the Diet Coke, though, on Sunday morning.
Well, I am not a coffee drinker, but
Okay.
I still need that jolt of caffeine.
Yeah.
So that is how my day begins.
You are the best, Sarah. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah Fenske, St. Louis Magazine.
In the world of wealth advisors, of trend, and you guys have noticed it in the last several years, is for especially the big, we'll call them the big box wealth management companies, the big names out there, love to just absolutely pepper all of their clients with what I would describe as just spam. It's really wealth information spam, constantly filling up your email inbox with very generic information having to do with the markets and having to do with how you can save some money and some consumer information. But it's the kind of stuff you can find a lot of places, and they're trying to pretend that they're giving you some inside info or information that makes you a valuable customer to them. And at Capital Advisory Group, and specifically Jeff Zufall and his team, what they pride themselves on, yes, he does a lot of great work in getting you good information based on hot topics and what's happening in the world, including at 3 p.m. every Saturday on Keep What's Yours here with Josh Gilbert. It's a great show they do every week. He has a segment on Heidi's show that he does as well that is just so good at getting that information out there. But what he loves to do is have you come into his office, bring your old tax returns, give them some time to analyze them for you so that there's a very specific bit of information about your tax strategy and how that plays into your goals when it comes to saving and making money in the long run. Jeff Zufall, Capital Advisory Group, they are here for you in a much more personalized way than you'll find from a lot of other people in the business. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com, 636-394-5524.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'll just Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking some isolated showers and storms expected late this afternoon, early evening hours. That'll follow along a cold front. Temperatures up to 91 degrees, looking dry until that point. Then we could see a low risk of some isolated winds up to 60 miles per hour and some hail up to 1 inch in diameter. That'll clear out to the east as we head towards the overnight hours, then into Thursday. Feeling a little bit more comfortable, mostly sunny, highs towards mid-80s, lower humidity. That'll continue through Friday before we crank up the heat Saturday and Sunday back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch for the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, it's John Carney. I'm up on your roof. Look around. Looks like it needs some work up here. I think we can take care of it. Actually, I wasn't really on your roof. That's the magic of radio. But you know what? Somebody trying to fool you about what's wrong with your roof isn't a joke, and it happens all the time. Have you gotten that call? Hey, we're in the neighborhood, and we're doing some roofing work, so we'd be glad to give you a discount since we're already here. Don't fall for it. Go with the company that's been doing a great job for people and not pretending that something's really wrong when it isn't, or alerting you to something that is wrong that you may not have caught. They send drones up to your roof, zoom in on certain areas, so you can get the diagnosis before anybody does anything, and most importantly, costs you anything. That's why they're still around and still doing an amazing job. And no, I'm not up on your roof. That's Allen Roofing, the name to know, the name to trust. Online at aroofing.net.
I'm Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor with Capital Advisory Group. Now, more than ever, having a tax strategy to protect and grow your wealth is an absolute must. Every Saturday, Josh Gilbert and I will discuss how you can keep what's yours, because the most important part of your wealth plan is your tax plan. That's Keep What's Yours this Saturday afternoon.
Capital Advisory Group presents Keep What's Yours with Jeff Zufall and Josh Gilbert this Saturday afternoon at 3 on the Big 550 KTRS.
As we enter into the summer months, you might be thinking windows and doors. Yeah, and where are you going to go? You have lots of options when it comes to windows and doors. Let me tell you about a St. Louis company that everybody should know about. It's called WSWindow.net. It's run by Larry Thornton and his son, Joe. And they've been selling windows and doors in St. Louis for 38 years. They do most of their work with a handshake and a smile. There is no high-pressure sales. There is no jacking up the prices and then try and bring you down as they demand some type of signature on the dotted line. They'll shake your hand and say, "We hope to hear from you." And they have been successful. They beat the big boys at their games for all these many years because they do it right. They have long-time installers, long-time employees. The Window Store. If you need windows, if you need doors, you want a great price, and you want to keep it in the St. Louis family. That's Larry and Joe Thornton. The Window Store. WSWindow.net. WSWindow.net.
Most car shopping starts online, and lately, shoppers are spending more time at HWKia.com. Recent website reporting shows HW Kia shoppers spend nearly twice as much engaged time on the site compared to other Kia dealer websites. That means people are choosing HWKia.com instead of doing other important internet activities, like watching a guy build a swimming pool out of mud, or looking up, "Can my dog eat pickles?" Why are they staying on HWKia.com nearly twice as long? Because there's more worth looking at. More new Kia inventory, more ways to shop, more ways to check current offers, more ways to value your trade, and more ways to find a payment that works for you. The report also shows HWKia.com shoppers are taking action and engaging through chats, texts, forums, and money-saving website events. So before you bounce from dealership to dealership, start where other shoppers are already spending more time and getting the deal they deserve. Start now at HWKia.com. Research compiled from June and July website traffic.
Home loan rates are changing daily. If you're in the market for a new home, you may be able to get a better rate than you think. The First Community Members Best Loan is available for qualified borrowers for just 6.016 APR with a 30-year term. And while some loan rates are subject to change daily, the Members Best Home Loan is available right now at that rate. So check it out at firstcommunity.com or call toll-free 1-888-642-7969 for complete terms and conditions.
All right, welcome back. Another great Dolly Parton song as we celebrate her 80-year life. Things that you will always pay a little extra because they're important to you. From Chef Todd. Is he from KFNS? Chef Todd? Sounds like he is.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It does, yes.
Premium ice cream. Jenny's. I have not had Jenny's ice cream. Anybody had that?
Yes, and it is good, and it is premium. But one of my favorite premium ice creams in the world is Serendipity in the Grove.
Oh, yeah.
Becky Jacobs, and she's going to be in on Thursday for our Kuna Food Service sponsored weekly special, which I think is going to be fun. She's got a great story.
Okay, here's a good one. Those Hoka tennis shoes. You've everybody's had Hoka before. You've tried those, Joe?
I mean, not
You're
Joe.
the-
They're not. He's
Nah.
yeah.
No?
Hokas
No,
are
I've
more
never had a
our
Hoka,
age, not Joe's age.
All right.
They look good, though.
Good skincare. That's probably a good thing. Yeah, instead of buying the dollar store stuff. I guess, I imagine skincare products are expensive.
I think so, but I think there's extremes there too. I mean, there's the stuff you get maybe to your point at the dollar store, but I think there's some pretty decent stuff at places like even the drugstore has some good stuff in there too. And you can get into crazy town. To me, people will spend hundreds of dollars for jars of eye cream, and I don't know. I don't think anything's a miracle.
Like if you go to the Neiman, Don't they have a cosmetic department still?
Yeah,
or do
and
they?
I think some of the physicians in town. I think if you're maybe in dermatology or plastic surgeons, they'll carry very, very exclusive lines of stuff. And I don't know. I mean, it sounds so. If it sounds too good to be true, I think it probably is on some of that stuff. But
good quality cotton sheets. Everybody agrees with that. Here's a new one: great quality tires. I usually try to buy hey, what's your best buy on a tire? I don't think about buying the most expensive tire, but that seems like a reasonable thing.
Years ago, we had a friend who was in the food business and kind of wholesale food business. And he told me something that I did not realize. But, a lot of companies where they're selling cereal or other products, they need Walmart for distribution. And Walmart classically undercuts what they'll pay wholesalers for items. So he said that they call it the Walmartization of quality stuff. So he said that in order to make it so that they could be profitable, if you bought, for instance, the example he gave, honey bunches of oats at Walmart, it was going to have less oats than if you bought it somewhere else that was distributed because they had to decrease the costs of manufacturing in order to get them to distribute. That always made me kind of leery to buy stuff like tires there because I knew that they were going to require the manufacturers to undercut quality.
Organic fruits and vegetables. This may be Brooke texting in, and uncured lunch meats. Yeah. I went to the store to buy eggs, and the organic eggs were like $5, and the regular eggs were like $2. But I've splurged because I know Monique wants everything organic.
Well, and eggs. When you look at some of the conditions of the places that eggs come from, that's probably not a bad idea. Cento San Marzo tomatoes from Ciro. Do you know San
that's
Marzano?
A great one. Yep. Oh, that's a must.
Seats at concert or baseball games. That makes sense. I'm a little bit that way at theater events. I just as soon not sit in the very back if I'm going to a musical or something like that these days.
Huh. That gets pretty pricey. I mean, I think concert tickets are becoming like college tuitions. It's just like ridiculous. You never even think they would ever cost this much, and they do.
I don't go to big, like the Noah Khan or those big ones anymore because if I'm watching it on a screen, I might as well watch it from home. But for really, really good live musical theater in St. Louis, I think it's worth paying a little more to be up close at the Muni.
I admire this person, name brand chips. I'm not wasting calories on cheap chips. That is a good one. Very good.
And you pay extra for the delightful peanut butter that you enjoy.
Oh, you mean that organic crap? Oh, God, it's the worst. It's got the water on top. It doesn't taste. Oh, that was the best present you ever gave me, the Jif.
It's oil. I still eat Jif every day. I didn't even actually ask my doctor about it after this, and he was like, of all the things you could be eating, this is nothing to worry about.
Oh, okay. All right, that's good news. All right, we'll take a short time out. When we come back, Heather Sullivan, KMOV consumer reporter, will join us next on The Frank and Jill Show.
Hello, everyone. This is Zipper Zeppa. The Mater Media Speaker Series is upon us. Coming up in September, John O'Leary, Bill O'Reilly, Dr. Ira DeWitt, Eric Jenis, Leo Severino, and Cardinal Timothy Dolan live and in person in St. Louis. Get your tickets. Here's a special deal, 25% off for KTRS listeners. Go to matermedia.org/KTRS. That's matermedia.org/KTRS.
Fielder Electric Services has been serving the St. Louis area since 1987. Whether it's commercial, residential, or industrial, the licensed professionals at Fielder Electric will have you taken care of. Give them a call or visit them at fielderelectricservices.com.
KTRS St. Louis, the Big 550, and KTRS.com.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A landmark settlement reached between Meta and 52 attorneys general from states and U.S. territories today. The parent company of Instagram and Facebook facing a multi-state lawsuit that alleged platforms were designed to be addictive and pose a harm to children and teens' mental health. Meta now agreeing to pay nearly $17 billion over the next decade and also detailing changes to its platforms for young users. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
A default daily time limit of 2 hours for users under the age of 18, a ban on displaying numbers of likes or reactions to users under age 18, a ban on cosmetic procedure image filters, the option for some users under 18 to have a non-personalized feed. That is significant because that gets at algorithmic changes with these platforms.
Meta now calling on other social media companies to also make changes. New Mexico and Florida, the only states not included in the proposed settlement. It still needs to be approved by the court. At least 95 people are confirmed dead, hundreds of others missing reacting following massive flash floods in Nepal. ABC's Lama Hassan says rescue operations are underway.
We spoke to a Nepalese tour company that confirmed 3 Americans are missing right now after a massive flash flood triggered a mudslide sweeping through parts of Nepal. The flood was so powerful, so destructive, it washed away everything in its path, villages and damaging roads. The flood hitting early on Wednesday morning just north of Nepal's capital, Kathmandu.
Reaction following the death of Dolly Parton stretching around the world. ABC's Chris Connolly says this American icon and superstar crossed music and cultural boundaries and created a common bond for so many.
Dolly stood for joy and welcome and resilience and a fundamental belief in the goodness of others. Really, even Jolene. I think for a lot of people, she was a guardian angel. And I think now she'll always be.
Parton's family says a memorial will be small and intimate. You're listening to ABC News.
What does the Science Center, Lambert Airport, the Magic House, McDonnell Douglas, and St. Louis firehouses all have in common? They all trusted their roof to Beatty Roofing. Beatty Roofing has been in business for 70 years. They're not storm chasers. They're based right here in St. Louis, and they've been doing it right for 70-plus years. And if you need a roofer, Beatty Roofing. In fact, first responders get an extra 10% off all roofs. 314-892-1331 or online, BeattyRoofing.com.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
Good morning. It's 11:03 and 83 degrees at Westport Plaza. I'm Brendan Weesey, and here's the latest from the KTRS newsroom. Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway announced a $17.1 billion settlement with Meta Platforms this morning. It becomes one of the largest state consumer protection settlements in history. Missouri joins dozens of other states in requiring Facebook and Instagram to place a hard cap on access for children under 18, nighttime blocks from 12 to 6 a.m., and robust age verification measures to more effectively verify the age of young users. Under the settlement, Missouri is set to receive between $100 and $150 million. St. Charles will host a town hall tonight to address homelessness initiatives. KTRS's Jill Enders has the story.
The main focus of the meeting will highlight a potential plan to build a community of tiny homes in St. Charles for the unhoused. Mayor Dan Bergmeyer says he estimates there to be around 1,000 unhoused individuals in St. Charles County. The city of St. Charles is working with Eden Village, which has already completed 3 tiny home communities in Springfield. The town hall will be held at the Foundry Arts Center at 6 this evening. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
The head of St. Louis Public Schools is recommending closing more than a dozen campuses. Superintendent Dr. Maya Berry issued her formal recommendation to close and repurpose 14 schools during a board meeting last night as the district considers a consolidation plan to address declining enrollment and a $41 million budget deficit. Officials say if approved, the students at those campuses would be transferred to higher quality schools in the district. SLPS will continue to gather feedback from the community before the superintendent's recommendation goes to a vote in October. Actor Jeff Goldblum is coming to town. Goldblum will join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra on vocals and piano for an October 18th jazz performance. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Floors, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. The Illinois Housing Development Authority has opened 3 senior affordable developments across the state, including one in the Metro East. North Bend Residences opened on August 3rd in Fairview Heights, the first affordable housing development IHDA has funded in the city. The 60-unit community for seniors 62 and older is comprised of single-family homes, attached duplexes, and 20-unit apartment buildings with rents starting at $644. The other developments went up in Hillside and Champaign, Illinois. Now let's take a look at the markets presented by JBL Financial. Tune in for Straight Talk on Retirement Saturdays from 9 until 11 here on the Big 550. At this hour, the Dow is down 123 points at 53,453. S&P 500 down 6 at 76.70. And the NASDAQ down 85 at 26,065. In sports, the SEC and Big Ten have announced that athletes previously joining pro leagues are not eligible to return to college athletics. This also applies to underclassmen that didn't remove their name from the draft process. Let's take a look at that weather forecast now. A slight chance of showers and storms this afternoon, especially in the Metro East. Some of those storms could be strong or severe. Otherwise, we'll have partly sunny skies and a high of 91. Tonight, clear skies will drop down to about 68. Tomorrow, not as warm, topping out at 85 degrees. At 11:07, we have 83 degrees under sunny skies at Westport Plaza. For the Talk of St. Louis, I'm Brendan Wiese on the Big 550 KTRS.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Accurate Mechanical Contractors takes time to salute our troops. We thank them for their dedication and courage. As they return home, please make hiring our veterans a priority. This message courtesy of Accurate Mechanical Contractors in St. Louis, locally owned. They are commercial and industrial mechanical contractors specializing in metal fabrication, pipe fitting, welding, HVAC systems, and more for function, security, and safety. Call 314-291-4336 or click on accmechanicalstl.com.
Choose Pella of St. Louis for window and door replacement to help enhance your home. For a limited time, get 20% off Pella projects. Call 833-87-PELLA or visit Pella.com/radio. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
And now, the second hour of the Frank and Jill Show on the Talk of St. Louis, the Big 550, KTRS. 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 KTRS.
Oh, that voice. I'm feeling wistful, I'm not going to lie. Jill Farmer, Frank and Jill Show, Frank Cusimano, Joe Davis sitting in, helping us out greatly today and doing a wonderful job. As always, and you guys love it, love this segment, Heather Sullivan, KMOV, consumer reporter, anchor of the daily newscast as well, joins us to talk about some of the hot topics and news you can use that she is constantly working on.
When did you add anchoring, by the way?
Oh, so I have the 4 o'clock show. So that's since I got here.
Wow.
Well, I've been doing that since I got out of college.
Do you ever feel like that gets in the way of your really fun, good reporting? Because that's what you do best.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'm a good anchor too.
Well, no, I didn't mean that. But I always think when you're doing you're reading for the most part.
Yeah.
But where you really show your chops is when you're breaking news and these investigative stories. And don't you think? Don't you get more of a journalistic charge out of that?
Well, I think you feel the biggest impact because usually, if you've really kind of hit on something, you'll start hearing from people, about something. So, and I think as you move along in your career and you get better at it too, it gets more rewarding because you're more comfortable, and you just know your way around figuring all the things out.
Yeah, that was the dirty little secret nobody told us about when I was back in the day, a million years ago. And I was a reporter, and I just couldn't wait to get on the anchor desk. I thought, and then started anchoring midday news, and I was like, "Oh, it's kind of boring. This isn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be." To your point, them being kind of out and about. Let's talk about stories. Speaking of breaking stories, you guys have a pretty big one that you're going to be talking about tonight. Tell us about that.
Well, and kind of a heartbreaking story. You may have heard about the True Stage cyber attack. True Stage is an insurance company that it offers a variety of types of insurance: auto, home, life insurance, annuities, and they often work through credit unions. But one of the things that we discovered, a local viewer reached out to us because If you had, like, say, your funeral coverage through TrueStage, what has happened is the company was cyber attacked in July 11th. And it's taken them a fair amount of time to kind of put the pieces of the company back together and get back online and be paying out claims. And so there are 2 families that have had people who passed away. One was back in June, so just before all this happened. And another one, the family that we talked to, they lost their sister in early August. And because these policies are hung up in the cyber attack, it's held up their being able to have funerals for their loved ones.
God. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so that's tonight at 5. So we'll show you what's
How
happening.
heartbreaking to know as a family you just want that piece of laying your loved one to rest, and you can't because there isn't the money to pay the funeral home. Oh my gosh.
Another topic, Meta has agreed to pay $17 billion in their settlement. For the people who have not been following it, just a brief background on it.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, like 29 states got together, and they're still, by the way, this is a huge, huge settlement. They're saying this is the biggest settlement since the tobacco settlement in the 90s. But 29 states got together and basically said, look, the sites are addictive to children. Now, personally, I think they're kind of addictive to all of us. I'll find myself kind of addicted to it. So, but this is targeted for children, and so it's $29 billion, and for that'll be kind of split among the 29 states. And then there's supposed to be some safety additions made to the site, and so one of them will be that if you're like actively using it, it'll pause it for teens after 15 minutes. It also is supposed to block it at night between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. so that they can't be using it in the middle of the night. The push notifications during school hours, those are supposed to stop so that, you're not in school and it's kind of reaching out to you saying, turn me on, that kind of thing. And they're supposed to do better age verification. So these are changes that are supposed to come to kind of help make it, safer for children so that they're not kind of getting sucked into it. And then, of course, we see some of the negative effects that studies have shown that, can affect a child's self-esteem and, other psychological issues.
I think it's interesting because, back even 2 or 3 years ago, we were saying, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Kids have phones and it is impacting their test scores at school. And now a majority of school districts across the country are not allowing kids to have them during school hours. There's some big regulation happening to the companies like Meta to say there are ways that we can make these less intrusive, at least into the kids' lives and disruptive. Yeah. And so I think it's one of those examples. I think of the NIL. We always like, well, there's nothing we can do about it now. It's already happened. Yeah, there is. There's stuff you can do, even if we didn't know how much damage some of these things were going to cause. You can go back and say, let's rethink some of this stuff.
Well, don't you think, too, this is like a 90-10 issue? I mean, who in America would be against making it more difficult for kids and their phone usage? I mean, I think it's like maybe Connor would, but I think 90% of America is probably behind this.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that feel like, hey, it's all, just part of free speech and you have the choice to look at it or not look at it.
They'll be texting in soon.
Yes. But again, this is, primarily for children. So, as adults, you still sort of have, those options. But like I said, I wouldn't mind if mine shut off because I feel like, why am I still looking at this?
Yeah, good point. Heather Sullivan, Cam will be joining us. And you did a really good job on the story. We kind of read the headlines and saw about drones are coming and Walmart's going to be using drones to deliver stuff here in St. Louis. And I thought you really got down into some of the nitty-gritty, interesting details about how it might exactly work. Tell us what you learned.
Yeah, so there's a company called Wing, and actually I had already talked with them, when I worked in Houston. I did the story when they started rolling this out in Houston, so I was familiar. But a company called Wing, which is owned by Alphabet, which is the company that owns Google, but they will be operating the drones. And so right now they are in the process of going to a number of localities. So you've got Manchester, Maplewood, Kirkwood, St. Charles, Glen Carbon, going to the city councils and saying, we'd like to start doing this. And in different communities, you have, people who think, hey, it's great. And then you also have people who have concerns. They're concerned about noise. Now, Wing says these are particularly quiet drones. And so they say, it's going to be 150 to 200 feet above the homes as it's kind of going through a neighborhood. So when it's up that high, you're likely not going to hear it. You might hear it if you are in the vicinity as it's coming down. But what they'll do is they already have sort of satellite images of everybody's home, and so you'll sort of verify that where they want to drop the package. That it is clear and you don't have your dog out, to snatch it. I think that, we'll start seeing little, social media videos of that happening, I'm sure. And then these are items that, to start with, I think are under 3 pounds, 2.5, 3 pounds. And then they do have some drones that they'll be adding later that can carry up to 5 pounds. So it's not like a whole load of groceries. This is, I need more baby formula and I can't go to the store right now. You could have it delivered this way. So they're in the process, like I said, of kind of asking all these city councils.
Because there's definitely weight limitations. You don't want something that heavy,
right?
But I understand some people are concerned about the safety side of it. But come on, the drivers and the trucks are out and about, and there's some safety concerns just in general with that too.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. Yeah, so and some people are like, well, are there going to be cameras that are going to look in my windows, that sort of thing? And so I asked Wing about that, and they said there are sort of these what they call camera sensors that are used for landing to make, because the drone, and the drones are piloted by a live person, so this is not something that like AI is running, but live pilot who's manning drones from a sort of a hub. And but they do have to see to make sure again that there's a place that they can sort of drop this down. But they're saying it's not doing it's not recording, and it's not doing a live stream, and it's not going to be like looking in to the side and that sort of thing. It's supposed to just be kind of looking where it's going down.
So best case scenario, how quickly could this be implemented?
Well, they've already been rolling this out in a number of cities around the country. So if they were to roll it out here, it would be pretty quickly. And then they go within a 6-mile range, and they're going to, they'll do, it'll be from different Walmart stores around, but they'll set up, a variety of these. And so then, they say they can service thousands of people within this sort of 6-mile range of each one. And that you could have it within 30 to 60 minutes.
Yeah. And do we know the cost, what it would cost the person?
Right now, delivery will be free. They do that so that you have a chance to kind of sample it. If you do the Walmart Plus membership, that's typically any additional fee would be included in that. And I've seen in other markets when they get sort of past the free point, it's a $20 delivery charge. But if you have that membership, then that's included.
Also, I wonder if this makes America even more lazy than it is.
I get.
Don't even leave the house at all.
But I have to say, I'm
oh, that's right. You're a blue blood that gets your groceries delivered.
I'm nerdy enough too. I cannot. I wish I don't live in any of the zones where they will be delivering, at least for a long time. But I am going to be so excited the first time one of those drones drops something off at my house whenever it's coming. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I have to say, I know.
I think you're kind of lazy.
I am kind of lazy. You're going to be one of those people out there that's like going to try and catch it. They're like, you don't have to catch it.
Thank you for your kind words, as always, Frank. But really, seriously, thank you, Heather. We always learn a ton. Mm-hmm. It's a blast to have you come in. I know you're
watching
very
tonight.
busy.
Well, the Channel 4 audience will be watching.
4 p.m. and always catching your consumer stories over at KMOV. They are great. Patriot Built Sunrooms, our friends, also doing great things for people here in St. Louis all the time. And it's really just so fun to see the spectrum of what they do. Sometimes they're building a full-on addition onto somebody's home. Usually it has all kinds of great windows and the technology that comes along with that, including things like automatic shades. Actually, they have this new technology where you push a button and it makes your glass from being crystal clear to sort of kind of like that frosted glass, so you can have privacy at the push of a button. Don't ask me exactly how the technology works, but I have seen it in action and it is miraculous. If you're doing one of those projects, sometimes it's truly that 3-season room where you're just got the indoors and the outdoors coming in constantly. And sometimes it's things like a screened-in porch, and the next level is some type of covered patio, but maybe you want retractable screens, and retractable screens now that can actually keep bugs out on a particularly buggy night. Or if it's raining, it can protect you from that when you want to go ahead and have the birthday party out on the patio. the range of what they can do has grown so much. If it's been a minute since you had Patriot Builds come out and give you an estimate or even do a project on a house or a past house you had, it's definitely worth visiting the website, patriotbuildsstl.com, or even better yet, stopping by the showroom at 811 South Kirkwood Road to see all the things they can do. And that doesn't even count all of the additional beautiful things they can build in your outdoor space. I'm talking about state-of-the-art kitchens, state-of-the-art patios, state-of-the-art multi-level decks as well. And that's because they partnered with Luna Builds to really be a powerhouse when it comes to sunrooms and outdoor living. PatriotBuildsSTL.com, 814-822-3232.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri, St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
For more than 6 decades, Bartolino's Hospitality Group have been proud to serve the St. Louis community with exceptional food, warm hospitality, and unforgettable experiences. From family dinners to date nights and celebrations with friends, there's a Bartolino's destination for every occasion. With 3 great locations, we continue a tradition built on quality, service, and community. Come discover why generations have made Bartolino's a part of the family story. Visit one of our 3 great locations today and experience the tradition for yourself. Bartolino's Restaurant, serving St. Louis with pride for over 60 years.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. The one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call STLMedWeightLoss.com and ask Dr. Joe. STLMedWeightLoss.com.
Something interesting happened to me on Valentine's Day.
Tell me about it.
I got love bombed,
Ooh.
which was a sign in front of my house that said, "You've been bombed by Lauren Risley Realty." Do you guys do that to all of your clients?
Yeah, we do. We call them pop buys. So we like to stay in touch with our clients after the sale. We build a relationship, not just a transaction, and we just want them to know that we're thinking about them. So, I mean, how many Valentine's cards did you get?
That was it.
Boom.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the many things that you guys do differently, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, we love our clients and we want them to know that.
How many clients have become friends?
We don't have enough time for that.
Okay. Well, if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question because
knowledge is power,
call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or email her at hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA-certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Most car shopping starts online, and lately, shoppers are spending more time at hwkia.com. Recent website reporting shows HW Kia shoppers spend nearly twice as much engaged time on the site compared to other Kia dealer websites. That means people are choosing hwkia.com instead of doing other important internet activities, like watching a guy build a swimming pool out of mud, or looking up, "Can my dog eat pickles?" Why are they staying on hwkia.com nearly twice as long? Because there's more worth looking at. More new Kia inventory, more ways to shop, more ways to check current offers, more ways to value your trade, and more ways to find a payment that works for you. The report also shows hwkia.com shoppers are taking action. and engaging through chats, texts, forums, and money-saving website events. So before you bounce from dealership to dealership, start where other shoppers are already spending more time and getting the deal they deserve. Start now at hwkia.com. Research compiled from June and July website traffic.
Heidi Klaus, Josh Gilbert, and Bob Ramsey. Weekday afternoons at 3 on the Big 550.
Always current and always on.
KTRS. Want a song?
You're on my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550. KTRS.
Welcome back, Frank and Jill Show. Time check, 11:25. Song of the day today, of course, is got to be from Dolly. We just can't help it. It's just a bittersweet day for so many Americans. One of those stars. I don't know if you saw on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, Frank, did you see this as well? Just breaking, Tim Curry has also died at the age of 80 as well, from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then many, many, many other movies since then.
Dr. Frankenfurter, that was his name on Rocky Horror Picture Show, I think it was.
So, yeah.
And did you ever go to the Varsity or the Tivoli to see a Saturday night showing of that on
I
Del Mar?
did not.
Yeah,
Did you?
I went one. I know I went at least once. It was just crazy. Packed house, everybody repeating the line, singing. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, and just in recent years, a lot of those great, the British Mysteries and others. He always was a steady presence in anything I think he acted in. So, wishing him that he may rest in peace as well. Sir Joe, what's the song? Can you give us a little setup for the song of the day today?
Yes, I can. Frank sent me this yesterday, and it's one of Dolly's moments on the Johnny Carson show, and she made a song about how she made her rise into fame because an appearance on the Johnny Carson show.
How about that? I bet it didn't take her long to put that together, And then Johnny Carson later joked, I hope you're not going to be doing this on the Merv Griffin show or something like that, the Mike Douglas show.
It's such an iconic moment. I had forgotten about it. I'm so glad you brought it up again. And, for those of us that can play about 3 guitar chords, to watch her with those long fingernails picking, it's actually a rather complicated guitar little riff that she's playing there. It's really cool. Of course, soundbite of the day today belongs to Dolly as well. And this is something from a Netflix special not too long ago on believing in yourself. I mean, just so good. This is another soundbite of hers that I have saved for a long time. I always have a very open mind and a very open heart. I look for the good in everybody and the God in everybody, and I play to that. I just love people. I love the difference in people. I love getting to know people. I appreciate being accepted for myself because I know I'm unusual, and I love the unusual in other people.
Do you remember, I think it was like just 3 years ago, where she put on a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader uniform. In fact, you could Google that right now. And so she's 80, she passed away at 80, so that would have been she would have been 77 years old. And she did something on television, and she was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. She just Absolutely amazing. You see it right there?
No, but I'm looking it up. That's so fun. Yeah, she rocks it out. She said their cheerleading squad are honoring her memory because of her 2023 Thanksgiving halftime show that she participated in with them in the full outfit. So, yeah, that's a great reminder. I'd completely forgotten about that.
You talk about, approval rating. I mean, who didn't like her?
Yeah, I mean, that's the variety of professionals, entertainers, singers, musicians, athletes who had a chance to bump up against her, who are saying incredible things. And how literally several people have said there's no human who ever actually got to meet her that didn't think she was wonderful.
I wonder who could be up there in terms of approval rating with Dolly Parton in the country today.
Mr. Rogers is the only other person I could think of that people just generally, there was never a bad thing you could have said.
Some people would make fun of Mr. Rogers. Nobody makes, I don't know, some people, I guess, would make fun of Dolly Parton.
Sure they do, and she laughed at herself. She made fun of herself more than anybody else did.
But that would be a great question for our text line, 84126. Who else would have that approval rating of 90-10 or 100-0? So, all right, a little business, and then we'll get to our good friend here.
Premier Heating and Cooling, our friends. There's this thing when you're in the ski resort towns called shoulder season. So that's, of course, you've got your busy winters, and then you've got a lot of tourists that come out to enjoy the beautiful summer weather. And they call the fall and the spring shoulder seasons. In St. Louis, I've always thought we had, a longer than usual shoulder seasons because summer lasts for a while, and we don't tend to get winter until usually a little bit closer to that December 21st date. But the reality is a lot of times we don't have a lot of space where we need to have the air conditioner off and the furnace off. We frequently go from having the air conditioner on in the fall to needing to turn the heater on pretty darn quickly. Same thing happens in the spring. We've got the heater on. And then before we know it, the hot weather comes and we need to turn it on quickly. So that means that we may not have as much time as some people do in other parts of the country to play around with, sometime I'll make that call. So at Premier Heating and Cooling, as we're crossing over next week into September at Premier Heating and Cooling, why don't you reach out to them and be a little proactive this year and say, let's go ahead and get that clean and check done on the furnace before we get that bitter cold temperatures or the surprise that comes in October, and have it all taken care of. So whatever you're on, the air conditioner, and when you just transition seamlessly over into the furnace, you're ready to go. Or if you know your furnace is due potentially for a replacement, it's a really good time to have them come out and look at exactly what the best unit is, what's the most efficient one, what's going to give you the best coverage in your house. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'll just Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking some isolated showers and storms expected late this afternoon, early evening hours. That'll follow along a cold front. Temperatures up to 91 degrees, looking dry until that point. Then we could see a low risk of some isolated winds up to 60 miles per hour and some hail up to 1 inch in diameter. That'll clear out to the east as we head towards the overnight hours, then into Thursday. Feeling a little bit more comfortable, mostly sunny, highs towards mid-80s, lower humidity. That'll continue through Friday before we crank up the heat Saturday and Sunday back towards the upper 80s and lower 90s. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch for the Big 550 KTRS.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why Kuna, they like to say they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online today at KunaFoodService.com.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at WowDiamonds.com.
You know, that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to help you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all of your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Scott Jacob.
And I'm Beth Jacob. We're the owners of Jacob Showers and Baths, local family-owned company in business for nearly half a century. We specialize in helping seniors age in place with bath and shower designs that are both safe and aesthetically pleasing.
We use a composite material that looks and feels like luxury stone. Come visit our showrooms in Fenton or Fairview Heights.
Mention the McGraw Special or select the McGraw Show from the drop-down menu on the website. Our phone, 800-222-6676, or visit us online at jacobbaths.com.
The official birthplace of the toasted ravioli is
Mama's on the Hill.
And Mama's on the Hill serves the best in town. Mama's has been a mainstay on the Hill for decades and is still a family-run restaurant serving up great Italian food in a fun atmosphere. Open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, and right in the heart of the Hill at Edwards and Bischoff. Delicious catering and party rooms too.
Mama's on the Hill.
Make reservations at 314-776-3100 and 24/7 at mamasonthehill.com.
You've spent years building your retirement savings. How do you turn those savings into income that you can rely on? Hear more on the Financial Safari with local trusted advisor Greg Belger, Sundays at 5 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
He's our favorite guest. He is Greg Willard, who worked more than 9 to 5. How about when you were a partner? What were your hours like?
Well, they were not 9 to 5, but sort of the stuff of big law, Frank, is when we would have a big case in federal court. I remember late December one year, I went 3 nights in a row without sleep. We pulled 3 all-nighters in a row.
You literally slept in your couch at the office?
Did not sleep, just slamming down coffee. Needless to say, I was not a very active daddy at Christmas that year, but that's what you know when you go to big law, that's what you're getting into, and it's not unique. Lots of our listeners work in professions where it's not 9 to 5 either. But big law is most assuredly not 9 to 5.
I can attest to that for sure. How did that compare to your workload in the White House?
Different in not so much the number of hours, but you hear stories about chess masters. They finish a 4.5-hour chess match, for example, and they are exhausted for days. There's a little bit of that working in the White House. There's not pressure while you're on the job, period. There is pressure 24/7. Back in those days, we did not have cell phones. We had beepers, and it was constant. And then the other constant was it was zero fail. We could not make a mistake. Now, I was not dealing with nuclear codes and national defense, but still, when one works in the White House, you put in very, very long hours, but the added element of pressure of the responsibility, it is physically challenging.
That's how Frank feels every day here on the Frank and Jill Show.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
What's the one thing we're asking all of our guests that you would not hold back on in terms of, I'm going to pay the extra amount because this is just, I need this in my life, something really quality? What would it be for you?
For my grandchildren?
Oh,
with not even close. If it's a book series for my 8-year-old granddaughter, something dealing with ballet, or a ballet production that my 13-year-old granddaughter, ticket is $50, ticket is $250. I don't care. I know how much joy it will bring her, and it will exponentially bring me greater joy. Back to your question, there is, practically speaking, Frank, no limit.
That's the best answer of the day. Okay, so the Supreme Court lifted one lower court block on parts of President Trump's March 2026 executive order restricting mail-in voting, but it did not rule, I think, on its legality. Where do we stand?
our listeners probably hear this phrase, oh, he got off on a technicality. Yeah. He did the crime. He got off on a technicality. Well, that's over in the criminal law space. We're talking about the civil law space. And what happened here was a technicality. I don't want to say it's ho-hum, but we're pretty close to ho-hum land. What this involves is President Trump issued yet another of his hundreds of executive orders this term, and he ordered the Department of Homeland Security to draw up a citizen list. And he ordered the United States Postal Service to come up with a way that if a person is not on that federal citizen list, he or she cannot vote. A lot of organizations and individuals challenged President Trump's order. An injunction was entered as to a portion of it, the two-part executive order. And that portion went up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, we are not going to allow that injunction, blocking it, to go forward because the regulations by the Postal Service are not fully in effect yet. It's premature, or what we lawyers call the plaintiffs in that case lack standing. Two things then our listeners simply need to focus on, and those that are opposed to the president on this, those listeners just need to calm down. The United States Supreme Court did not say President Trump's order is okay. Period. In fact, what the court said, 6 of the justices, said it may not be okay. It may be okay, but it may not be okay, and we, the Supreme Court, will wait for another day. But right now, it's premature. The plaintiffs don't have standing. So this is going to wend its way through the courts. I guess I'll just make this observation. It's not necessarily a legal observation, but I can't help myself. The Constitution of the United States is very clear on who controls and sets up the rules for the elections. And it says, and I quote, "The time, manners, and place for holding elections shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature." Now, Frank and Jill, we could sit here all day, and we're not going to find the word president in that clause. Yeah. Not there. Historically, the Republican Party has been the bastion of pushing back on the federal government trampling where, in their view, they should not go, and arguing that it's the Democratic Party that's the party of big government. Well, here we are in 2026, and Donald Trump and the Republicans are trying to jam down the throats of the states and the American people orders that the Constitution says belongs to the states, and the idea then that the president, in this case a Republican, would be doing that is, in my simple mind, rather rich with irony.
I'd love to get your thoughts on something that's been getting a lot of local attention, and that's these flock cameras. And of course, we know the big case last week, or the situation last week, member of law enforcement in St. Charles County accused of misusing the technology which tracks license plates and where people are coming and going to track perhaps either the ex-love interest or wife, or I don't know who it was. Where are we headed legally with these cameras and their use in law enforcement?
Two pieces, I think, at least. The first piece, these flock cameras, and our listeners on both sides of the river can drive around and they will see them at intersections up on poles. And what these cameras do is they take an image of our license plates as we drive through that intersection, and it is stored. Then law enforcement can access it. A lot of people are very upset and saying, this is horrible, this is an invasion of privacy. Let's just stop right there. As to that piece, whether the government can take photographs of license plates of cars driving through intersections, if we don't like that, then we need to dial 1-800 state legislature or 1-800 Congress and pass a law, because the Constitution doesn't forbid it. As to law enforcement personnel misusing it, that's a different question. And my personal opinion is throw the book at them. By golly, if they're abusing the public trust, throw the book at them. What I chuckle about, and this is not to exhibit any disdain to those who are upset with flock cameras. My chuckling is not derisive towards those people. My chuckling is the same arguments about the flock cameras. So John Smith goes through an intersection and his license plate is captured by a flock camera, and John's really, really angry about that. Well, at that very moment, John is carrying a smartphone, and that smartphone is tracking where he is at his home, where he is at his doctor's office, his place of worship, who he's sleeping with, and it does it not when he goes through an intersection. It goes 24/7 as to what John is doing. So the irony isn't that the people who are worried about flock cameras, that they're wrong. It's that they're worried about the simplest, albeit perhaps the most visible tracker, and they are unbothered by the most pervasive and intrusive monitoring in the history of mankind. That, too, is a remarkable irony.
Yeah, what do you think the approval rating is on flock cameras? Like in this room, Joe, do you like them?
No.
Me neither. No.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anything that helps law enforcement, I mean, I'm a giant yes on it, because anything that helps.
Yes.
When I
Okay.
look at some of the crimes that have been solved by them that wouldn't have been recently, I think that's meaningful and important.
I am a fan of the show In the First 48, and so I subscribe to Jill's side of the
it's
aisle.
2-2. What do you think America is on this?
Oh, I think it's probably 65-35 against.
Yeah.
But again, that's the irony, is the same people who are in the 65, Frank, are walking around all day long with their smart cameras, with not only where they're going and with whom they're going, but when they go to the grocery store, and they pay with their smartphone, it tracks every item that they have purchased. And then these data miners get that data and they sell it. Again, the irony between flock camera angst and smartphone crickets is too much to take.
All right. The U.S. Supreme Court has allowed President Trump to continue construction on a new White House ballroom with a temporary stay. Your take?
I'm really troubled by it, primarily because, as you all know, I used to work there, and so the whole idea of what's happening there is troubling. What happened was that litigation began in the federal court in Washington. An injunction was entered barring above ground construction over in the east wing, what was the east wing, and then what he hopes will be the ballroom. The Court of Appeals, when President Trump appealed, ruled against him and said, no, that injunction, Mr. President, is appropriate. He took it to the Supreme Court, and last week, Chief Justice John Roberts entered what is called an administrative stay. Mm-hmm. So that ban is temporarily stayed, and we will get the answer from the full court. What troubles me specifically, the East Wing is gone, and God rest its soul, but the president has shifted his focus from the ballroom above ground to what's going on below ground. and he talks about national security and military. Well, when I was in the White House and until the Obama administration, there under the East Wing was what is called the POC, Presidential Emergency Operations Center. So if any of our listeners look at photographs of 9/11, where the Secret Service took Vice President Cheney and some of the senior national security advisors, that was the POC under the East Wing. Well, during the Obama administration, over in front and kind of under the West Wing, they went down several stories and built a new POC, and it's operational today. So as to what it is that President Trump is now saying, oh, my, what's under the old East Wing is national security, and you've got to let me continue this, and put a ballroom on top of it. Mark me as skeptical as to what's going on. I recognize that the American people have to give a lot of deference to our presidents and national security, but what started as a ballyhooed project, well, I'm going to destroy the East Wing, which he did, and I'm going to build this Palace of Versailles ballroom, which he started, and then suddenly when there was pushback, he said, well, national security, I have to do this. The final point I would make, and this is sort of into my law school classroom, is he has private funds that he says is going to help build the ballroom. He's using taxpayer funds, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. The only way, Frank and Jill, that he is able to use taxpayer funds is they have been appropriated by the United States Congress. I know I sound like an old saw, but once again, the men and women in the United States Congress, if they have a problem with what they're doing, what Trump is doing, they need to put their big boy and big girl panties on and do the job that the framers gave them in the Constitution as to how our taxpayer dollars are being spent. That is not a Donald Trump problem. That is a United States Congress problem.
Well done, sir. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you. Stay safe.
Hey, it's John Carney. I'm up on your roof. Look around. Looks like it needs some work up here. I think we can take care of it. Actually, I wasn't really on your roof. That's the magic of radio. But you know what? Somebody trying to fool you about what's wrong with your roof isn't a joke, and it happens all the time. Have you gotten that call? Hey, we're in the neighborhood, and we're doing some roofing work, so we'd be glad to give you a discount since we're already here. Don't fall for it. Go with the company that's been doing a great job for people and not pretending that something's really wrong when it isn't, or alerting you to something that is wrong that you may not have caught. They send drones up to your roof, zoom in on certain areas, so you can get the diagnosis before anybody does anything, and most importantly, costs you anything. That's why they're still around and still doing an amazing job. And no, I'm not up on your roof. That's Allen Roofing, the name to know, the name to trust. Online at aroofing.net.
Mizzou football on the Big 550 KTRS is powered by Royal Banks of Missouri. The Tigers kick off the season on Thursday, September 3rd. Pregame at 5 and kickoff at 7 right here on the Big 550.
Since 1987, Chris's Pancake and Dining has been serving outstanding breakfast, brunch, and lunch to the St. Louis community. Our commitment to great food is matched only by our exceptional loyal staff, many who have been serving our guests for years. Whether you're visiting our original location at Watson and Southwest, or Chris's at the Docket on Tucker Boulevard, and coming soon, Chris's South in Ronnie's Plaza. Start your day with us and experience why Chris's Pancake and Dining has been serving St. Louis since 1987. We can't wait to welcome you.
Are you looking for a deck? I am. And you know who I turn to? Outdoor Living and Pat Leahy. They've been a sponsor for a long time, and they've done some other projects for me, but this one's the big one. It's going to have metal framing, composite decking, and when it's all said and done, he's going to put a 50-year warranty on it. Not because I'm his spokesperson for all these years, but because I am a customer. Outdoor Living takes care of St. Louis, so if you're looking for a deck that will survive the heat and the winter and the sun and everything else, Outdoor Living, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood. Outdoor Living or OutdoorLivingInc.com.
Thinking about your next vacation? Then you should be thinking about Mid-America's St. Louis Airport, offering affordable, convenient, non-stop flights with parking just steps from the terminal. Low stress, easy travel starts at Mid-America's St. Louis Airport.
Avoid the long lines and hassles of other airports by flying from Mid-America St. Louis Airport, just minutes from downtown St. Louis, featuring ideal destinations with clear turquoise waters and sugar white beaches. Or family fun in Orlando, the theme park capital of the world.
Low stress, easy travel starts at Mid-America's St. Louis Airport. Online at flymidamerica.com.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Everything is better at Bommarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory online at bommarito.com.
Well, Payne, one of my all-time favorites. We actually interviewed her on KFNS. She has nothing to do with sports, but I just wanted to talk to her. All right. So in terms of people with 100% approval rating, somebody texted in Stan. Was it Craig? Craig Riggins texted in Stan Musial. That's a home run for sure. Muhammad Ali, certainly at the end, his approval rating was really high. At one time, he was controversial because of his stance on Vietnam, which probably ended up being correct. Who else has 100% approval rating? You see anybody else on there? Oh, Betty White. Who didn't like Betty White?
I think that was great. Jimmy Buffett, I think. And Tom Hanks was the one that I thought was
how
really
about
good.
Denzel Washington? Who could not like Denzel Washington?
I think that's a great one as well. Want to mention one more time that Tim Curry, English actor, singer, performer, died at the age of 80 as well during our show today, I think is when it was first released. Do you remember him? I loved him in the movie Annie in the early 80s. I think he played he was the best at that
Really?
that shyster character. I hadn't seen him yet. Later on in life, when I went to college, I circled back around and saw Rocky Horror Picture Show. But that was the first time I remember seeing him and thinking, wow, this is somebody who's really, really good.
So we've lost two greats in the last 24 hours.
Yes, very well said.
All right. Jeff Drew texting in Robert Redford, universally loved. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great one. And Paul Newman, I think, would be somewhat with that as well.
Cranky, but one of the greatest of all time.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we'll take a short time out, a 22-hour break. Carney Buck next. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep